What's going on YouTube? This is Chaos Rain here, and in this video I'm here bringing my first ever Duet Night Abyss video. This game is a anime style skin gacha RPG where the monetization is built towards buying skins. So basically everything like this, you can get your character skins or whatever, but everything else is free to farm. You can get all the characters free, just grind it, so on and so forth. And in this video, I wanted to kind of cover a few things and kind of show off, I guess, or share my Psyche build. As a Psyche main, I have a few words that I would like to share with other players who decide to or want to play this character and maybe help you decide on how to build your Psyche. So
The
first, let's go ahead and go
butterflies
to the
just fluttered
characters.
over with an
And
invitation.
I am
It told
I6,
me there's a
and I
midsummer
do
ball in the
have
woods full of
a full
violet
Image
tricolour.
Wedge set. I am stacking Resolve with this current setup. This is what I have going on right now, stacking Resolve. I have just I think smelt 2 of this weapon, and it doesn't matter. Smelt 5 of this, and then I have level 8 of the Consonance weapon wedges. So she is my main. I spent a lot of time grinding for her, and a lot of it's just on my phone while watching anime or whatever. So it's super simple. Don't even have to think about it. But this is what I got going on in this variation of the build, which is double volition, a single resolve here, resolve inspo, resolve middle wedge, wildfire for the skill range. Obviously, we have this the Zephyr, dual 10, and then resolve 8 for this, the hardest one to grind up. That being said, I wanted to kind of cover a few things and state that you can pretty much play Psyche however you want to. I chose to resolve stack because everyone else was stacking skill damage, which is now changed to skill intensity, and I felt like I was clearing all the content, so I'm gonna just keep doing that. Now, I wanted to kind of go over something and showcase, how what I'm doing with my build, so on and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and go into the immersive theater. And I didn't push super hard this time because I pushed super hard last time, and I have this much credits left over after buying what I wanted. I don't really care about this because I just gonna wait till it enters the weekly and then I'll grind it. I could get this at any point. I could farm for it or whatever. These are super easy to farm. I don't care about these. If I did, I would get them. But let's go ahead and go over what I have going on. So with this team, we have Mr. Goodnight because Mr. Goodnight is a heal over time in case you need it. I have enough damage in my build with Fina alone to swap out my Escres Duo for this cannon here. This thing, let's see if I can get the name. Destructo is really good because it has huge skill range, which allows you to do a lot of splash. Confirm. And basically allows you to kill a lot of enemies real quickly. Um, Now, I will say that if you're using this specific setup, this, I believe, actually, let me make sure I reselect Psyche. I don't know what, yeah, okay, there we go. And I'm using Psyche with Fina here and Fushu with their SIGs, and the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm resolve stacking and I don't want my health to go above a certain threshold. Now, I know there is the interest in people wanting to spam your skill and nuke down a bunch of enemies with all these butterflies or whatever, and that's cool, but honestly, I wanted to scale up the consonance weapon as high as I could, and the easiest way to do that is to stack resolve um, and not worry about spamming the skill. Because, in my opinion, when you're stacking skill intensity, what you're doing is you're kind of baiting yourself into spamming your skill a lot and staying at a certain threshold whereas everything about Psyche's kit screams resolve. She has a passive that has resolve in it. She has a weapon that gives you resolve, so on and so forth. I know there's other setups that I can use, and I'll go over those shortly and share those with you right after this. But first, let's go ahead and go into this, and I'll share with you exactly why I chose to play it the way I play it.
Let's go. to corners of the world I've never seen.
So first thing you're gonna notice,
Blossom like flowers.
we're not gonna really spam our skill on this thing. Like I said, I don't want to. So all I'm gonna do here is skill every now and then just to get that temporary buff. You don't really need to skill in the early stages. You just gotta, lollygag around. But literally, I can just sit here, and my health is going to be slowly but surely picking up with just skilling. Now, I'm not going to leave butterfly state. I've seen people leave butterfly state to reserve their HP because I want the resolve to be at its potential. And when it is, I can just start doing that. As you see there, just whole waves of enemies melt. I'm not using my skill to heal. I'm not using my Mr. Goodnight to heal. Usually the skill and Mr. Goodnight are for bossing, but for this specifically, I can just nuke down the entire waves of the enemies without even thinking about it. As you see there, boom, 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 everything just gets it. Now I know if you do skill spam, there is some caveat to using skill spam. Maybe kill certain things faster, such as bosses. But when you're doing the waves, the butterflies don't really do as much, in my opinion, at least how I feel about it. They don't do as much as just, basic attacking or auto attacking, if you want to think about it that way. What I could do here is because since my sanity or energy, whatever you want to call it, is below a certain threshold, I could pop it. This would start giving me a very low tick heal, which will still keep me in the resolve state and allow me to still get that full boost from resolve. And we're just going to go ahead and finish this whole theater stage, and then I'll cover the secondary setup and just kind of go over my thoughts of what you can do with that. I'll take this time while I'm waiting for the stages to say, hey, I'm glad that everyone's still chilling and around, and it's been a rough year for me last year, rough year for a lot of people, I'd imagine, and I'm just glad it's over, and I figured I'd start the new year off with kind of sharing what I've been up to lately, which is Duet Night Abyss grinding, here and there, between work and all that. Go ahead and because this is when usually you use your skill on this part. Now, right here, you don't really need to use your skill. You just want to splash damage the enemies. If you use your skill, they bounce up and around and whatever. It's not that big a deal, but I don't really like that, so I just tend to let my HP trickle down and then there you go. And as you see, enemy went down super quick. The entirety of the stage is going to come up right now. It is 2 minutes 29 seconds. Now I will give you a note that this is level 25. It's not the max level. I chose not to go into the max level or whatnot this time because I went to like 100 and something on the last theater rotation. That was way too much of a grind. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get to this, and that was fine. So next, I'm going to go back and I'm going to share you this secondary setup, which is what a lot more people are using, and kind of compare the differences in play styles and builds and so on and so forth. When you're resolve stacking, you want your HP to be below a certain threshold. That's why I am using Fushu instead of someone else, so on and so forth. So in this setup, I'm going to go to Psyche. Hold on, I gotta go back in 26, and then I'm going to go Demon Wedges, change it to setup 1. Setup 1 I don't really use. I use resolve stack. So yeah, this is setup 1. This is skill damage spam. This is basically I want to hit as much as I can. Skill intensity now, sorry. Hit as much as I can with my skill and just start nuking down things. I am still using the same stuff. Otherwise, just change out this. I am using literally everything else is the same, except I have volition instead of resolve. And then instead of using Fushu, we use Truffle I0. I don't have anything too crazy for Truffle, so I'll preface it with that. You use your bow because her bow is pretty good. And then After that, you just let her use her skill. I will actually go into her demon wedges and make sure she has the one I need her to have. Yes, she has resolve. So this setup is a little different and it is more damage in the overall, but you don't need the damage. I will say that, you know, I haven't pushed to the hardest part of the difficulty yet in this, so I can't really be 100% on that. But in my experience, you don't need the damage to push. You don't need the extra damage boost. And the difference between her and Fushu isn't a lot. I will tell you that. So after we have everything set up, um, you'll notice one more thing. Let me cover this real quick. Sorry. Her If you look at this, it says it grants resolve to self and allies, meaning I'm still getting the resolve and I'm getting the damage. But the big difference you're going to see here is that I'm not going to be at a low HP threshold, and I'm going to be relying more on my skills. And that is a way to play.
Let's
That is the
go.
way everyone else is
Corners
playing.
of the
That
world
is
I've
a
never
valid
seen.
way. In fact, probably the more meta way if you ask me. But I've always been one to try off meta stuff in pretty much everything I play. So I wanted to try Resolve, and I'm going to try to do that. So this is the big difference here. So as you see, with this setup, you just spam your skill and let your butterflies do the damage. You can still gun them down. There's still that. You're always going to remain at a high threshold because you're spamming your skill and your skill heals you. Now I could still do the resolve setup, and I'll show you what happens when you do that. When I start doing resolve setup, when I start going down to a certain threshold of HP, Truffle will automatically heal you past that threshold, right? I don't know if you notice it, but I'm also doing quite a bit less damage because I'm not at my resolve threshold. And I still have a lot of resolve that is not, you know, there. As you saw there, Truffle just healed me for like almost 50% of my HP and 2 skills. And she can do that for a long time. She can just cast like 100 skills, basically. And her sanity is going to regen well before it matters. And as you see here, we are not killing quite as fast. Again, this isn't the hardest difficulty. I'm not playing anything too crazy. This is level 26, and I'm already not like really struggling, but kind of struggling to, you know, gun down some of these guys with the same build. Aside from I have more skill intensity in this build and less resolve stacking and relying less on my resolve. The way resolve works, I mean, everyone should know if they're watching this, the way resolve works is you're going to use resolve at low HP and use morale at high HP. And with resolve giving you the biggest boost at about, I believe it's either 15 or 20%, I don't remember. It's a low threshold, and that's why I was sticking on a low threshold when I was using resolve before. But the big difference in these two setups is that, let me get my position here, is that when you're resolve stacking, you have a constant amount of damage boost, and with Truffle specifically, you do have to rely on her skills cooldown, essentially. Not her cooldown, but how long it takes her to buff you as an example. And if it takes too long, then you know you're just factually not getting extra damage boost. However, usually she's gonna heal you when you're at about 50% HP. So as long as you can last, you know, to that point, you're good to go. Now, this is what it feels like when you're skill spamming with Psyche. You're just bouncing everything around, right? Everything's getting hit, they're bouncing around. They still do a lot of damage. Kill a whole bunch of things. You can basically skill spam forever because of the new inspo. You don't really have to worry about running out of sanity, but it's just a completely different playstyle, as you can see. And you know, when it comes down to it, it's just a matter of preference. Now I could I could also say I could use a third volition, which would be a little bit more skill intensity and drop the resolve, and that way up a little more. But there's no good resolve middle wedge. There's no good volition middle wedge. It's just resolve, so that would just be a dead static. And basically, as you see here, we're still gunning things down. It's just going a little slower than I'd really like it to go. I haven't done a lot of testing inside I can't remember what it's called. It's inside the little hideout. Go and test it because honestly, I feel like it matters a little bit less than if you're doing this combat with all the different modifiers stacking up and whatnot. I will say that this specific theater is theater for Fushu to help you. So if you don't have Fushu, like I don't right now, you will suffer a little bit on some of the bursting down because she does shred. So there is that. Now here's the boss, and this is a super easy boss, so we're just going to go ahead and show you what the result with the skill spam looks like on it. And you see, we're just dropping his HP down in chunks, and his shield's going to be dropped probably before long here. Then it's going to gun him down. And as you see, we don't even need to use our Mr. Goodnight with this setup, so you could use a different Genie Mon. It's totally possible to use any one of the ones that give you a Electro Attack or Sanity, anything like that, instead of what I'm using now. I'm just using this because, it's the setup. This is called the setup. Now we come kind of to the problem, where I'm out of sanity because I skill spammed a million times, and he's not dead. There you go. And we'll go ahead and see the difference. It is 5 minutes 14 seconds, almost double the time. So, in conclusion, I would like to say that you can play Psyche however you want. You don't really need to go with skill intensity if you don't want to. You don't have to play the meta. You don't have to play Truffle Filbert with your bow. You don't have to play Fina for that matter. Fina's huge DPS. You can pretty much kind of, flex what you want to do. I am working on a third setup, which is just going to be a fun setup, which I can go over at some point. Which just utilizes as much skill duration as possible. But yeah, now this was 5 minutes again, double the time. So just so you guys can kind of see that I have done my research here, and I have definitely played this a little bit to try and figure things out. I will revert back to my first setup and go over it one more time. Now, something to note is that each act I go up, it is getting higher in difficulty. So that last act, 26 was harder than 25, and 27 is harder than 26. So just so you know, just so you can kind of get a understanding of what's going on. So we're going to go back to Fushu. We're going to give her her sword once again. And we're going to go to Demon Wedges. We're going to go to Psyche. Change it back to resolve stack, and we're gonna back out here, save, confirm, great, and just make sure. Sometimes I can set that up. Okay, great, we're good. Now we're going into stage 27, which is harder than both of the prior stages. Not by a lot, but it is harder than both of the prior stages. And show you once
Let's
again
go.
what
Corners of the world I've never seen.
Hold on. I thought I saved it, and I guess I didn't. I still have Truffle Filbert. So I need to go put on Fushu. But yeah, you'll see why I choose to resolve stack over using skill intensity, and yeah, you can make your own decision from there. Both, as you saw, are able to clear the theater. and I'd imagine you can still clear all the way up to the hardest difficulty. As you saw, I cleared the boss with much time to spare, so I didn't really have to worry about too much. Um, I don't think it's going to be very much different for anyone else, so you do you. Just make sure just make sure you have a decent setup to go with. So we're going to go ahead and save, go, and confirm. I know my first video back
Let's
is
go
definitely something
to
that's
corners of
I'm
the
not
world I've never seen.
normally doing. It's been a while since I
Break
did
free
any like
from the
Gotcha games
cocoon.
or anything like that because I just haven't been playing them like that really. And now we'll go back to our other setup, and as you see, we're shredding them, and I'm not even having to use my skill. I can use my skill now, and then that skill will give me the damage buff proc from my wedge, which is at 150 something %, which is really huge. And as you see here, we're just going to basically nuke down everything. We have enough range that our skill is going to just completely blow up everything. We don't really have to worry about anything. Fushu's going to help shred. You just sit here and completely complete all the waves. Super quick. And 2. Again, resolve. This is stacking your damage to when you're on low life, so on and so forth. You could maybe do Bushu and what's her name? Truffle Filbert, but Fina gives you more damage boost than Truffle Filbert overall because she also gives weapon damage and assault rifle damage. The 4 elements of damage boost, which all, with my i6 version, all are treated like type weakness, so I am just doing basically a massive amount of damage to all the enemies. And, as you see, I'm not having any issues. We're on stage 4 already. I am always teetering between a low health threshold and taking down my sanity here. As soon as we kill like 1 pack of mobs, all of our sanity gets filled up. And as long as we're below a certain HP threshold, we get the full boost of Resolve, which, if I recall correctly, it is 3.7 times damage boost. It is a separate damage boost than just a pure damage boost. So if you have Truffle and Filbert's 100% and this, you will have a lot of extra damage, but it's kind of hard to do Resolve with that just because she deals you so much. And now we're back at the boss. Now we go ahead and kind of go after the boss, and we're going to do one of those big attacks here. So one thing you can do with Psyche, you can just do this, ignoring all of the boss's mechanics. Remember, we have a huge sanity pool thanks to our public enemies, and then we can just kind of dive bomb down. Unfortunately, our skill doesn't do much damage with this setup, and we are resolve stacking, so we're trying to use our skill less and attack more. And I believe, yeah, we're in wave phase, and this is what wave phase looks like when you should break. Okay. Lose invulnerability. Just fly above the map. Now, what you could do is, if you wanted to, I could just pick my Mr. Goodnight here, and Mr. Goodnight would go my party, and then just come back down here, and I don't have to worry about it turning into insanity. Where is it? And that's the boss. Yeah, 2 invulnerability phases, it would have been faster, but you know how it goes. And 3 minutes, 43 seconds, like 2 minutes faster than using just pure damage. You can do with this information what you will. I know there are modifiers that change that, and Fushu helps with this specific theater as she's the newest character, but you basically play how you want. If you want to play with Fushu, Fina like I am, this basically the 3 limited characters that came out, you can do that. If you wanted to play with Fushu and Truffle, my opinion is you're insane because Fina is really strong. You can do that too, but you will at least shred them and still have a lot of DPS going. If you wanted to do Fina and Truffle, you will lose the shred that you gain with Fushu, but you will still have all of the damage potential essentially, and just have a bigger number essentially to your name when you're hitting things. Now, this is the current in-game, so if I'm able to clear the current in-game without any problems with either one of these two setups, with plenty of time to spare, only thing I can say is play how you want to. Play around, mess around, have fun. You can even do something completely different than mine, but just realize you're going to have a certain amount of damage percent, whether it be attack or skill intensity or resolve, before you can do that. So I can probably flex out a wedge or two and put in like HP or, you know, reduce sanity drain or something like that. So whenever I do go down to a certain threshold of HP, I have, you know, more X, Y, or Z. That being said, as always, everybody, take it easy, have a good one, and hopefully not too long from now, I will catch you in the next video. Bye.